On a warm beach with a gentle breeze, a grandson and a grandfather walking by. The time was perfect, it was twilight, and this was a moment where the grandfather said, "This would be a great time for me to imbibe a life lesson to my grandson." So he showed him something on the beach and picked it up and said, "Grandson, do you know what this is?" "Do not know, Grandpa. What is it?" "It's a seashell. Inside this shell, there is a living creature that got swept away by the ocean waves onto this sand. If it remains here dry for a few more hours, it will die. Don't you think it's a good idea to get it back to its life in the ocean?" The grandson smiled and said, "Grandpa, look around you." They look around and he says, "What do you find, grandson?" "I see that there are hundreds and thousands of seashells lying around. What difference does it make if you just throw one seashell back into the ocean to give it life?" The grandfather smiles and says, "Do you want to ask this one seashell what difference does it make? One at a time is many at a great time." And he throws that into the ocean. Brothers, sisters of the world, my name is Shailu Tipparaju. I'm representing the Touch a Life Foundation. And the reason I made that story as an illustration to begin the mission of who we are as we celebrate the World Kindness Day at Touch a Life Foundation is to illustrate the fact that as we have created this platform for community leaders, for nonprofit organizations, for corporates and individuals to help craft a kinder society, to find avenues like this where we can celebrate and bring kindness to the fore, is to bring stories like this where your individual actions make a big difference in one life and become a force multiplier. You may be one drop in the ocean, but without that drop, the ocean is incomplete. We welcome you as a part of this community. There are so many tracks that we work at, and it is my honor as an innovator, as an educator, as an entrepreneur, as an investor, but most importantly, I, Shailu Tipparaju, am a family man first. And when I say family, not referring to my wonderful wife and two sons only, I refer to family in a global context, who I have the valuable memories from the past, many to create in the future, and contribute to this mission of how do we bring it as a shareable avenue for all of us to celebrate. Touch a Life Foundation is an initiative by Solix Technologies, founded by wonderful people, Sai and their crew, Veena and team, who have really brought this to the fore on how do we build awareness on global issues. How do we bring network with like-minded, passionate people, and who can influence the drivers of change? And how do we create inspiration as not a one-day thing, but a daily thing, and foster social entrepreneurship? The many divisions of TAL, be it the giving platform, which is if you're an organization trying to bring in that change, we give you that digital platform access to do it at scale and get amplification to your voice. Youth is the future of the society, and we want to make sure that the TAL Scouts program gives you the entrepreneurship for the youth as an avenue to explore and make your voice heard through your work. Leaders owe it to the responsibility to guide this youth. So to champion these causes, we have created the TAL leaders. We have grown up, at least from my generation, that radio was a beautiful channel to reach your hearts through our voice. So the TAL radio is a multilingual broadcast platform to bring that together. And TAL Media finally is the resource library of podcasts, videos, blogs. So every thought, every action of kindness is put it in a way that can be shared globally. And I think that brings it to the core purpose of our key Kindness Day celebration of United Nations has brought in 5 dimensions of how to bring sustainable development goals. These 5 dimensions translate to 17 specific goals And I would like to share a few as part of what we are doing in that, and fundamentally to solve a big problem at a global level. I think we need to define it in a way that's universally understandable, universally shareable. First responsibility is to the planet, the natural resources, the climate, the environment around you. It is our job today to make it available for future generations to enjoy it, to nourish in it, and to leave it better for their future generations. People are the cornerstone. We need to make sure that there is equality, there is initiatives to end poverty and hunger in our capacities, and prosperity is the natural from survival. We want to bring everyone to a point of equal prosperity, is to make sure that their lives are more fulfilling as much as everyone and they feel part of the ecosystem. There's so much of need for peace today in terms of understanding each other in the world of inclusive societies. How do we do that? Only through partnerships. Unless we come together, have conversations like these, have collaborations, bring our voice together, especially it's critical as educators like myself to make sure that we bring the voice commonly across the board to ensure that we are able to bring each goal that is near and dear to your heart and make sure that you are able to contribute, you're able to participate and make your actions and voice heard. Let's dive into the 17 sustainable goals of United Nations. Number one, no poverty. If we look at the global context, one third of the planet is under the poverty line. What are we doing as a society at our individual levels to contribute to that cause and get into the second most important sustainable development goal of zero hunger? In the next decade, as we bring in avenues to eliminate the wastage of food, provide ways to distribute that in places where that is needed most, watch our consumption in the right places, there is a very high chance we may not be able to fully get to the finish line, but it would be a great start on the outcome of zero hunger. Without a good health, no amount of discussions would help humanity get forward. So good health and well-being is the logical third sustainable development goal of United Nations, of which Touch a Life Foundation is working very hard in our capacities to provide avenues, platforms to organizations working on good health and well-being. A sound body needs a sound mind. Education is the only tool that will build these sound minds. So sustainable development goal number 4, quality education of world-class teachers coming together to compile their information and put it in a platform that's shareable. It is not possible with one unique thing, but that example of that single seashell, we need to create pockets of those quality education where everybody has access to top class education to build a better future and planet, which brings us to number 5, gender equality. This is one of probably the most critical access point of making sure, independent of gender, everyone feels they are equal in inclusivity on being given access to that high quality education, high quality nourishment, high quality health. Fundamentally, goal number 6 focuses on three-fourths of the planet is water, but not many have access to the fundamental clean water and sanitation. The infrastructures of places and the projects that are going on at a public sector level, at a private sector level, at an entrepreneurial level, and at an individual level have to do what we can in providing our contribution to that clean water and sanitation goal, getting us to goal number 7. What is clean energy really? Clean energy is best in its form when it's affordable, when it's renewable, when it is sustainable. And the initiatives going on in all these sectors have a very key part to play in us making this planet last longer, not just for us as humans, but for every other living being around us who's part of this ecosystem. How do we bring such a change is sustainable goal number 8. It is economic growth and decent work opportunities for everyone, where everyone feels I have a sufficient play to demonstrate my skills in the companies that I have been a core member of, and I have contributed immensely and continue to work actively to learn, such as Examity. We provide a way to show your skills through online examinations, and it is a way to include people to give them better job opportunities once they demonstrate their skills, independent of geography, independent of where they are. This gives them access to participate in the global economy by getting better jobs, by taking care of themselves before they can take care of societies in a way to contribute directly to kindness within to spread kindness outside. Industry innovation and infrastructure is goal number 9. It is fundamental that if we have to build large scale change, it needs a large scale sustainable infrastructure. Creative ways of building industries in a responsible way is goal number 9. And we cannot do all of this in a society that is unequal. So, sustainable goal number 10 is how do we reduce these inequalities? It is not done in a day. It is not easy to accomplish. It is even harder to measure. But if a single human being feels I'm being treated at a psychological, at a financial, at a social level, that I'm treated as an equal to someone else, we have made our first step into that goal. And that is how communities are built. Sustainable development goal number 7 is how about sustainable cities, sustainable communities, and how we can keep this for the long term. Number 12 is obviously when communities come together, there is a large scale consumption and the large scale supply, the large scale production. How are enterprises producing these goods responsibly? How are these societies consuming these goods responsibly, where there's a fine balance of compassion and capitalism coming together in a way we are very psychologically and socially aware how much is too much for us, how much do we need to start sharing. And number 13 is the environment around us. Whatever we're doing to consume the planet has direct bearing on the climate. We cannot absolve us from the duty that it's happening out there. We're not responsible. We need to make sure sustainable goal number 13, climate action, is not just at a public sector level, but the small things that you do at your home, from turning off a light bulb when you don't need it, from making sure that you're using resources effectively, is a direct contributor to the climate action. There are things that are visible in front of you, but there are things that aren't. Sustainable development goal number 14 is to protect and contribute our share for life below water. They don't have a voice. We are that voice. Let us be responsible in how we discard our usage. Let us be responsible how we consume life underwater and how we treat that with care, because the ocean currents decide the world around us. Which brings us to number 15, life on land. Not just each other as humans, how are we treating life on land around us? Are we bringing that kindness to the fore? Are we bringing sustainable consumption to the fore? Are we making them inclusive in us because they do not have the power of what human has as the top predator in the species? It is our job to give it equal opportunity to sustain their lives. Number 16 is a profound one that has peace, justice, and strong institutions to enable that peace and justice. How do we contribute our part? I think the only way to do that is applying less judgment and more openness, applying active listening, applying empathy, applying the ability to put someone else ahead of ours at the right time, at the right place, beyond our small definition of a family to a larger definition. And I think sustainable goal number 17 from United Nations that we'll talk about would be the last. And the most important one is we are a coral reef We cannot do this individually. These are substantially large goals. We need to make sure that we do partnerships. In collaboration is our collective prosperity. In compassion is where capitalism will find meaning. On behalf of Touch a Life Foundation, on behalf of United Nations, on behalf of entrepreneurs, on behalf of the youth, on behalf of the children, on behalf of all the organizations supporting us and many such institutions, and on behalf of the team that has tirelessly worked to put together the World Kindness Day, I, Shailu Tipparaju, am signing off. I'm delighted to welcome you on this journey. I want you to participate actively. I want you to be part of this initiative as the global communities come together to craft a kinder society. Thank you.